1320.
Hell yeah.
Kuminga Watch.
Might be what we do all day today, because Sam Amick said that the Warriors and Kings are talking trade again.
That's right.
We are so back. We've never been more back.
You know, I was going to bring up in that last segment, one of the things that really I think the Kings are looking to do with the Kuminga situation, it's very specific. They look at Kuminga as a way to get Keegan Murray to the 3. And they believe that like that versatility, be having two like size forwards would really benefit them. And I agree, but I think there's this other sneaky thing. We keep looking at this roster, and I don't know about you, but like when you get to the backup 4 and 5, it's just a crapshoot. Like nobody knows what Isaac Jones is at all. Nobody has any idea what's left in the tank with Dario Saric. Nobody knows what Maxime Reynaud is going to look like in the bright lights of the NBA. And the only guy that you probably know who he is Drew Eubanks. And I'm not even sure that that's a good thing, that you know exactly who Drew Eubanks is, because you just know that he's a guy that you can go put out there for 8 to 12 minutes, maybe, and he can hold down the position. So you're looking at both the 4 and the 5 that you have this same situation. If you're able to bring in Kuminga and have a 30-plus minute per game guy at the 4, and you're able to move Keegan Murray to the 3, and you're able to have, let's say, 20 to 25 minutes of Keegan Murray at the 3, but then you have the ability to move him as your backup 4 as well when you bring in either, DeMar DeRozan or Nate Clifford. It just makes you a much more dynamic and versatile team. And to be honest, a team that, as of right now, would just be deeper and make more sense. So
I'm trying to, and sorry, I'm just trying to get a visual here. So in this starting lineup, it's Dennis Schroeder at the 1.
Yep.
Zach LaVine at the 2.
Mm-hmm.
Keegan at the 3, Jonathan Kuminga at the 4, Domantas Sabonis at the 5.
Yep.
Which makes DeMar DeRozan the 6th man.
And I get
presents an issue.
Well, yeah, but I'm going to say if they go and trade Monk, I almost guarantee that they're going to turn around and sign Westbrook.
Okay, great. So we got Westbrook here.
Okay.
In this hypothetical. So DeMar DeRozan's your 6th man?
Yeah. DeMar and him and Keon Ellis and
Russell Westbrook.
And Russell Westbrook. And now
where are we finding minutes for Nate Clifford?
Well, I think Nate Clifford is going to play when there's an opportunity. And I think the Kings really want to play him, but I also could see you going small using both Neek and DeMar at the 3-4. Just go a couple of 6'6", 6'7" wings.
Sure. Don't hate that.
Okay. And then at the center position, you're like, okay, what do we do? That's the problem. Like the backup center situation, there's going to be a lot of staggering of lineups and stuff like that.
Sure.
But when you trade Jonas Valanciunas, who
the nasty boy,
who comes in at
commonly known
number 87 in the ESPN top 100.
Sure.
Like he's still a very serviceable, rock solid player. But when you lose him, and all of a sudden you're playing with not a full deck back at that position, it's tough.
Mm-hmm. This is a good point by securing a Bagley on Nate Clifford. Like we can all be high on him or whatever, but we keep talking about how the Kings want to win. Like it's really clear the Kings are trying to construct a roster that wins this year. That is their goal on day one. Mm-hmm. And I like I said, I think that they're ready to be flexible in that goal in terms of, okay, really going for it or pulling the plug and playing some of the young guys. And securing a Bagley makes the point in the chatty house. Neek was the 24th pick. And most 24th picks aren't going to play a lot on teams trying to win.
Nope.
That's disappointing. That's a little bit of a bummer. Not disappointing. I don't think it's wrong. I think it's exactly right. That's just, for me, again, and this is my personal view of this. for me, this is about play Nate Clifford. See what he's got. If you get Jonathan Kuminga, play Jonathan Kuminga. See how this all fits together. But I also understand the reality when you start going, Zach LaVine has to play. DeMar DeRozan has to play. Russell Westbrook, if you're signing him, he has to play. You got to find minutes for Keon Ellis.
Yep.
Or else you're going to piss him off, and then he's going to leave in free agency. Like, that's all. Man.
It's a house of cards.
Boy, is it.
Yeah, and so I also could see, like, if you do somehow pull off this trade and then you go sign Russell Westbrook, I could see a way in which the Kings would start shopping DeMar. Because again, if DeMar's going to come off the bench, like, he might not want to come off the bench on a team that projects as like a 35-win team.
Forgot about Isaac Jones.
Yeah, Isaac Jones.
Sorry.
But again, like we talked about this a little bit yesterday, like the Kings, if you're trying to win, you don't have 3 unproven players in your rotation, right? If you're trying to win. Now, if you're the second half of the season, if this thing is spun out, then sure, it's okay to have 3 guys in your rotation that are unproven. But Isaac Jones at this point, like, he's still unproven. He was a 2-way player. He was an undrafted free agent rookie last year.
Yeah.
And so you're hoping that you're going to be able to get something out of him. And you've been working with him all summer, and you might have an idea of who you are, but of who he is. But again, I don't see the Kings going out there and having a lineup with Nate Clifford and Devin Carter and Isaac Jones and Reynaud. And you're going to go with 4 first and second year players who really don't know what they're doing. That's not going to be something that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's tough because you want those guys to play, but the G League option might be the best for Reynaud, might be the best for even Devin Carter at this point.
I would be so interested as we talk about this rotation. And I saw somebody in the chatty house. Let me find it. Megan said, how in the world would they protect the perimeter with Kuminga on the floor? And that is one of the major elements of this that I think nobody knows the exact answer to, that would dramatically change how the Jonathan Kuminga experiment goes. Because if he locks in defensively, because we've seen him do that, you can find clips of him one-on-one with Jason Tatum and locking up Jason Tatum on the perimeter. He has that level of talent. It's just, can you get that level of buy-in? Can you get him to play defense, play off the ball, because you're going to get a lot of Zach LaVine on the ball, you're going to get a lot of Domantas Sabonis on the ball, you're going to get a lot of DeMar DeRozan on the ball. They're going to be asking him to do, in stretches, a lot of what Golden State was asking him to do that he was not satisfied with. And so, A, are you willing to go through the growing pains? Because I do think you're going to see those lapses defensively. But B, do you eventually get that buy-in, or do you get that buy-in right away that Doug Christie has been talking about? Like that, what were you saying yesterday, getting back to fundamentals defensively?
Yeah.
Being a hard-nosed, gritty defensive team. Like, if you can get Jonathan Kuminga to play that style of basketball, you're going to get a really freaking good player.
Yeah, the physicality and everything else. And like, look, I think the way in which you make Jonathan Kuminga into the player that you want is to not say, hey, we want to make you Aaron Gordon. It's to say, hey, we're going to let you be Jonathan Kuminga on one end of the court. You go do you. But on the other end, if you don't do your job, we're going to pull you. Like, straight up.
That's what happened in Golden State.
Yeah, but it's
congratulations, you've done it.
Well, no, because they never let him be. They didn't dangle the carrot for him to be the great offensive player on one end. They wanted him to be, fit into their system on one end, and on the other end, you got to play defense. Right? They're not allowing him to go be who he thinks he can be on the offensive end. And so that's where I think you can dangle the carrot and say, hey, look, if you're going to be, if you think you can score 24 a night, we're going to allow you to do that. But the second you don't play defense, we're going to be tough on you, and you're going to sit on the bench. You're going to come over here. And so you're not going to go get to do the things that you want to do. You've got to have some give and take here. And where I think with Golden State was like, Every once in a while, you can freelance and you can be yourself. But for the most part, you're going to play within this system. And the only time he was really able to freelance and do that stuff was when someone was hurt and they weren't at full strength. Now, in this situation, he might have a more advanced role in the offensive end. And the other thing I would do is, there's something about like Doug Christie wants to teach finer nuances of defense. And, that means like him standing in front of his own players as a head coach, but working as like a development coach and a head coach, right? We saw it last year with Zach LaVine, where after practice, he literally is working with Zach LaVine on defensive fundamentals. Like, and Zach came over and started talking to the media and like, yeah, man, like, look, I watched Doug growing up. I'm a Seattle kid. Like I watched Doug growing up and I know how good he was defensively. And if I can gain even a little bit of an advantage by talking to Doug Christie for 5 minutes after practice here and there, then I'm going to take it. Okay, well, if you take that mentality and you allow Doug to get his hands on a player like Kuminga and maybe show him some of the finer nuances, have Bobby Jackson work with him, have Leandro Barbosa work with him, like really get into the nuances. Like it is possible that you might be able to pull more out of Jonathan Kuminga as a player than what he's shown on the defensive end with the Warriors. And I think more than anything else, it's consistency that he's lacked with the Warriors. He's 22 years old. Like you expect inconsistency from a 18, 19, 20, and 21-year-old player. And that's what they've got. And so at this point, like you're hoping that he becomes something better and that he's growing and he's learning. But also I think a change of scenery is probably it's well needed.
Interesting. I would love to go to the version of Jonathan Kuminga's career where he doesn't get hurt in January of last year. Because when he got hurt, he had been playing consistently. He had been playing every night. He was playing 30 plus minutes a night. And 14 games before he got hurt, 33 points, 13, 20, 20, 20, 11, 11, 26, 14, 34, 34, 18, 20, 13. Like, and playing consistently and contributing and producing and doing some playmaking. And he was really starting to round into his own as a player. And then he gets hurt. He hurts his ankle. He's out a bunch of time. Golden State makes the Jimmy Butler trade, and all of a sudden Jonathan Kuminga doesn't fit anymore. I would be really interested to see what this version of his career and the Warriors' kind of trajectory and specifically this restricted free agency. I'd love to see how that goes if he didn't get banged up in that for that, whatever it was, 20. God, how many games did he miss? 34 to, was it 33 games that he missed? There's a good player in there. Just don't. Maybe the Kings are the team to get through to him.
I just think that right there, that statement is what the scary thing is, because the Kings have never, ever, ever been the team to get through to somebody.
Oh, yeah. And those, just real quick, in those 14 games, I'm sorry, I was trying to vamp because I was waiting on this. In that 14-game stretch before he got hurt, he was shooting 40% from three, 48% from the field, 40% on 3.7 attempts a game, averaging 20.5 points, 6 boards, 2.6 assists in 30 minutes a night.
Okay.
Like there's a player there.
No, there is. Like every time he's got opportunity to like be the focal point, he's shown that he can be really good, which is why a lot of people are intrigued by him. It's why, again, I know like with the Kings, it's BJ Armstrong who really has like
thinks he's Michael Jordan.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he thinks he's Michael Jordan, but he thinks he's a really good prospect that they can turn into something special. But again, you're talking about a 2-year commitment from Kuminga. You're hoping that you don't just convert him into something special, and then he walks out the door 2 years from now and says, "Hey, thanks.
Yeah,
thanks for the good time. Taking my 24 points per game and going somewhere else."
You keep saying 24 points. How is this working?
Well, that's the question. Yeah, I don't know how many points he's going to average.
So if they're going to dangle that carrot on the offensive end and say you get to be you, which to me sounds like there's no system, you're the system. How does that work with DeMar DeRozan? How does that work with Zach LaVine?
Well,
what does Domantas Sabonis do in all this?
That's where DeMar coming off the bench, like you have no choice but to move to DeMar to move DeMar to the bench because of the shots, like the sheer volume of shots that he takes. And like, look, I think it's perfectly fitted. It's much easier to get 17 shots a night. He's not going to get 17 shots off the bench, but it's going to be much easier to get 12 shots off the bench than it would be if like DeMar DeRozan was still in the starting lineup and you're doing something crazy like Keegan Murray off the bench. Like if you're going to have Kuminga and DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine and Dennis Schroeder and Domantas Sabonis, like that's a lot of offensive firepower. And like there's only one ball. So that's where I think playing off the bench, which is why, again, Malik Monk was always so important to the Kings because he got so much more opportunity to run the show off the bench than, like, again, Keegan Murray gets in the starting lineup.
Are Russell Westbrook and DeMar DeRozan playing together a lot in this scenario?
Oh, I think they would have to.
Ugh.
Well,
yikes.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
I don't know, but remember too.
Russell Westbrook floor spacer? We here?
I think the other thing you got to remember is that, you're going to stagger your rotations. So even if they, the starting lineup that we keep putting out there, right? If they're putting the starting lineup, the core guys out there, that doesn't mean that like 3 or 4 minutes into the game, you're not going to sub in somebody. So then you can stagger DeMar with the second unit or whatever. Yeah. I think that there will be plenty of ways in which they can get a guy into the lineup in a different way. And the lineup won't just look like, 12-minute stretches in the first quarter of 2 shooters and 3 non-shooters. It's going to look different.
Yeah. All right. There's a ton of nuance to this Jonathan Kuminga stuff. We'll continue diving into that. But I want to shift gears. That's not, I don't know. We'll probably, I was going to say we're going to shift gears, but we're probably not, to be totally honest. There's a ton of angles with this Kuminga stuff that we got to get to. 6 days until he has to sign a qualifying offer.
Yeah.
So this is all going to be resolved at some point.
Well, I'd say more
in the very near future.
4 days until training camp opens. 4 days until media day. Yeah.
All right.
Tough.
We'll keep diving into this.